the sad things are going on vacations. I missed our weekly chats with Kathy Helbig, but she's here in studio. Good morning, Kathy Helbig.
Good morning. Rearranged so I could see you today.
Oh, my goodness. Thank goodness. All right. So what are we hearing from the real estate world?
Well, we're hearing much of the same. We are starting to, we've had a couple little weeks of slowdown, but it is not completely a buyer's market at this point. We still have supply and demand that is still, causing buyers to have to make multiple offers on certain houses, but we have other houses that are sitting. So I keep telling everybody, don't listen to the national headlines.
Yeah.
The national headlines are it's a 6 month in a row of decline for housing. But in St. Louis, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, we're at this point now where individual houses, individual neighborhoods, individual states, individual cities
boils down to that.
Are all different.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
New home constructions, though, they're saying it is down. Are you seeing that here? That's
what we're hearing, yes.
Yeah.
We're hearing it slowing down. Again, there's still a line that they're trying to catch up with, but the demand is definitely cooling.
Yeah. I think you finally, after all these years, finally gotten it through my thick head.
Really?
That staging is vital when you're looking at a house.
So glad you said that. We are back to helping people again pick their paint colors, take their wallpaper down. I met with, an example, I met with a couple, really sweet couple, probably 6 or 7 months ago. Yeah. They've been holding off because they're building a house out of state. Okay. And when I first walked in, we're not doing a thing, and they're very much into antiques, so their house was decorated very much to their taste. Right. And my realtor inside of me for all these years that have helped people stage was like screaming, like, "Oh, please let me take your wallpaper down. Please let me help you fix something." And they're like, "We're not painting, we're not doing anything," and their carpet's original and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So now that the months have ticked on and they've listened to me drip on them for 6 or 7 months, they are now stripping wallpaper, painting the house because they realize we are in a different position than we were 7 or 8 months ago. Yeah. They probably could have put the house up. Would they have gotten the same amount of money? No. But they probably would have found a buyer that was so desperate to get into a house at that point in time that they wouldn't have to do some of these things. But we are back into a position again of having to make the house the most appealing to the public, especially if you're still hoping to be one of those ones that still gets a multiple offer at this point.
I also think, though, that do you want to pick a real estate agent that will lie to you and tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want to pick a real estate agent who will tell you what the truth is?
There's a lot of that, and I'm going to caution everybody out there. There's going to be, and I won't necessarily say it's blatant lies, but there are going to be appointments that are had with agents coming up in the future that clearly just don't know how to navigate this market. They don't know how to price a house. They don't know the right things to tell you, and so they're just going to take the listing and tell you whatever you want to hear and then let the market beat them up and let the market beat you up. You don't want to be in that position. It is a really, really challenging time for agents right now and sellers because the sellers that are coming on the market in the next few months, you're the front line of the change, of that curve. And so you don't want to believe it. And you want to listen to the agents that think, oh, yeah, it's great. Everything's fine. It's fine. The sky isn't falling. Mm-hmm. But that is only going to put you in a worse position than if you just listen to somebody that gives you truth in the beginning.
Somebody, just personal anecdotal evidence. Now that I'm a buyer and there's a house in the market that sits for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they drop the price, all of a sudden that house has a stink on it.
Correct. Why is everyone else not clamoring for this house?
Right. Yeah,
it's a mental black mark on that house.
Yes.
And it's going to be that way for a little while until people adjust to the fact that houses might take 14, 21, 30 days to sell again.
Right.
That was normal,
right.
Up until 2 years ago.
And so coming on the market out of the gate correctly, the house staged correctly, the right marketing, the right price, and all of that.
And if you do get it wrong in the beginning, because it is a challenging time right now, you look at comps and they're all over the place, So if you feel like you didn't get it right in the beginning, I always say fail fast. Don't hold on with your head in the sand thinking it's going to change 3 months from now. Right. Because it's only going to change down.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I tell sellers all the time. Let's try it, but then we got to move quick if it doesn't work.
You and I you've helped me buy and sell houses in the past, but this time buying and selling was really completely different than anything in the past.
Even though it's such a great market to a seller, it was probably one of your most stressful, was it not?
Most stressful, difficult, head scratching, confounding.
Yep.
and completely different than in years past.
Yeah, and everybody keeps saying, "Oh my gosh, you're in real estate. Boy, it must be a great time for you." And I want to be like, strangle you. It is not a great time. It might be a great market for certain people.
Right.
But I was just thinking about that today. I was talking to somebody early this morning, and it's like listing inventory for most people were down 40, 50%.
Right.
Buyers that you ran into, you had a ton of buyers, but you didn't have any houses to sell them, So it really has been a difficult market for agents as well as the buyer and seller.
And now that we're in this sort of weird market, you might see sellers say, we're not going to sell.
Right.
Which then might reduce the inventory even more.
Exactly. But oddly, we're seeing more listings come on the market, probably too because some buyers have slowed down with the interest rates. But we are seeing a little bit more hit the market right now than what I would expect to have seen.
Yeah.
But you've got people that are locked in at really, really great interest rates that go, maybe I don't want to move right now.
Right.
So we are going to still deal with that. So it's definitely not going to be not going to be a buyer's market overnight.
But the interest rates are now back in the fours in some ways. So
they are
low
they're going up and down.
Right.
They're going up and down. But when the Fed did their last change, it actually dropped the rates.
Right.
And then they popped back up again a little bit more this past week. But it's not a bad rate to be at, guys. I was writing 6.5% interest rates just a few years ago, and people were thrilled about them. So don't lose sight of that. And again, my favorite line is, you're marrying the house, not the rate.
Yes.
So get into the house you want, because you're actually saving money on a house right now, but not having 18 or 85 people, depending on where you live, competing.
You and Lori sat at my kitchen table earlier in the year, and I said, I got to buy and I got to sell.
Yes, you did.
And we've navigated it, and I couldn't have done it without you. You guys were the tops. You guys
Glad
were the
you
goods.
had a happy ending, but yes, I recognize the stress involved, even in a great market. And you came out great.
Great. I came out great.
On both situations.
I came out great, but I know you pulled your hair out a couple times. I
have
pulled my hair out a couple times.
I have a few extensions from bald spots.
McGraw, what are you doing to me? But it was, I couldn't have done it without you, so thanks for everything.
You.
Kathy Helbig, if you're buying or selling, that's what you want to do, 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD, or KathyHelbigGroup.com.